So we saw last week's runaway hit movie Shut In.
that I hadn't heard about until Wednesday when you said, "Hey, do you want to go see Shut In?" And I was like, "Sure."
Fuck is Shut In? Like, you knew it was gonna be a shitty horror movie. But just what kind? What kind of shitty horror movie? This, I never got a trailer for this movie, but unlike Disappointments Room, where I hadn't heard of that until it came to theaters. This one, I'd at least heard of this. Like, the posters for it were over at Showplace 12, and I saw some trailer reviews of it. I never got a trailer for this fucking thing in front of any goddamn movie we've gone to see.
I hadn't seen a trailer, I hadn't seen a poster, I hadn't seen anyone even fucking mention it until...
Other than it only made $3 million on its opening weekend.
I guess that works, because it probably only cost about $1 million to make.
Dude, you know that that it's bad that when we walked in there was already a guy asleep.
And it is worth mentioning, that man slept solid through probably at least half or more of this movie.
I was wondering, like, I didn't hear him as the movie. Before the movie started, I could hear him snoring back there. He's just some guy by himself, fast asleep, just as we walked in.
At first, it was just that kind of like in between trailers where there was no music or anything going on. Like, you could just kind of hear that kind of like, just like that heavy, like, sighing breathe. But then, even as the movie started, then you could actually start hearing, like...
Then he got really in deep sleep. Halfway through the movie...
Although I did like it. There's an early scene where Naomi Watts wakes up and then looks over at her alarm, and then her alarm starts going off, and then she has to silence it. The guy almost woke up when the alarm was going off. I think maybe he thought he was at home. But then she hit snooze on the alarm, and he just went...
It'd been great if the guy just got up and went to work.
It's like, oh shit, it's 6 a.m. already. Fuck. I gotta go.
This movie's so boring that halfway through it, in my head, I'm like, I wonder if the guy behind us is, like, dead. and then
I wondered about him several times through this movie.
Yeah, and then when the movie was over, he wasn't sitting there, so I guess he's not dead.
I just assume he woke up halfway through. It's like shit. Did it already start? Looks at his phone. Fuck me, it's like 8:40.
Well, I've slept through half of this. I might as well leave, because if I try paying attention to it, I'll totally be lost. This movie would actually make more sense if you came into it halfway through.
Yeah, because essentially I noticed it's basically two different movies split right down the middle. It's the first half of Disappointments Room, and then the last act of The Boy.
A little bit. Yeah, there was some stuff
some
that was...
Some kind of tweaks here and there, but essentially...
You know what it is? This isn't... It's not a ghost movie. It isn't something shitty like Other Side of the Door or Disappointments Room.
Which I am kind of curious, though, to see a trailer now. Like, does the trailer really lean on the fact that it's possibly a ghost? Because they mention it once or twice in the movie, and not once did I ever think, oh yeah, no, it's a fucking ghost.
I never thought this was going to turn into a ghost story.
Like, they just suddenly, like, Oliver Platt's like, it's like, you're telling me there's ghosts in your house. It's like, she never said that, and none of us are thinking that.
Oliver Platt, who was nice enough to Skype into the movie.
Yeah. If not for the fact that there is that one scene of them together, I would assume that, I'm like, maybe they just couldn't get him in.
Oh, well, they had to actually bring him in there so he could turn into Dick O'Halloran from The Shining.
Yeah.
Whoever made this really likes The Shining.
Very, very heavy on The Shining references.
Yeah, between Oliver Platt coming in towards the end like an idiot.
Just to immediately have exactly what you think happened.
Yeah, and Right, like at least in The Shining, it's like I buy why he's going to the Overlook Hotel. Like I get it. It's like I know it's gonna happen, but from his point of view, I get why he's going to the hotel. In this, no, he's just going there because he's stupid and he's gonna get himself fucking killed.
Yeah, I would have just called the cops immediately.
They do that right. They do the like the snow footprint thing, like in The Shining. Only in this, the killer like figures it out, which was kind of funny. But you know what this is? This is this year's Hates, House at the End of the Street. That's exactly what this movie is.
Yeah.
Like both movies, they have actors in them who are way too good for this material.
Oh yeah. Everybody in this should not have been.
No, not at all.
I mean, even Oliver Platt, like he's done. I mean, yeah, he's done some good stuff and some bad stuff, but there was no reason it was Oliver Platt other than just like somebody's like, if we call him, he might take it.
Can I Skype in? Sure, we need to put some Apple product placement in this.
But yeah, thinking about it though, like the Shining references though, him chopping through that door with an axe.
Yeah.
Didn't think of it at the time.
There's a few. There's about as many.
That guy Doug being frozen outside, basically.
Yeah.
Like
That poor guy.
leaned up against the house, kind of like sitting there, basically looking like fucking Jack Torrance at the end.
There's as many Shining references in there as there are the cheap fake out dream sequences, and there's a lot of that shit in this movie.
Yeah, and well, that's what really reminded me of like Disappointments from there towards the beginning, where it's like I was sitting there like thinking like, so this is just another harrowing tale of the horrors of mental illness. Like I'm like, she's just going fucking crazy. Like that's the only explanation. Is just she's just lost her fucking mind.
I didn't know where this movie was going, but I also didn't care.
It did, yeah. It does nothing at any point to make you get invested in the characters.
Yeah, and then
we're basically like the whole movie has like 5 fucking people in it, but primarily there's basically Naomi Watts,
yeah,
who is an unreliable narrator.
The kid from Room, the dude from Stranger Things,
and then Oliver Platt,
and the guy and the Doug guy. Nothing about this movie this is kind of we're definitely going to have to get into spoilers because it's really impossible to go after this movie without explaining everything that happens in it.
Yeah, but it's the sort of thing, none of you are going to watch this movie.
You're not going to see this fucking movie.
So it doesn't fucking matter.
You're not going to see this fucking movie. This was fucking terrible. And did you have a huge problem with how this movie was made? Like the weird, over-saturation of everything in this film. It's oddly bright. It's I know there's a lot of snow in this, but even before the snow hits in this movie, it's got this really distractingly bright it's like I'm watching Yoga Hosers again.
Yeah, it whoever was filming this, I don't know the DP or the cinematographer on this has ever worked on a horror film. I would have to wonder because it's shot with the same brightness level that you'd have for just an outright comedy or even
it's shot like it's Wedding Crashers at the beginning of it.
It's just it's very vibrant, very bright, and very well lit. I mean, it's not like in a normal movie, those are things you'd want, but in a movie where you're trying to build atmosphere, but it's absolutely impossible.
But it wasn't even really good lighting though. It was overly bright to the point to where beyond the fact it doesn't look like a horror film, it straight up looks like a TV movie in parts of it, which House at the End of the Street, this is another fucking movie that shouldn't be in fucking theaters or nationwide at least. But
that's even the thing there is a lot of time those Lifetime movies or ones on Oxygen or any of the other ones, they're all fucking Lifetime movies as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
At least for them, they would have muted the color palette a little bit since it's supposed to be a fucking not without my children type bullshit. Like it's even then it still wouldn't be like well lit. Like this
movie's lit like it's a Comedy Central TV movie, like it's fucking Porn and Chicken or some shit.
It's lit like it's supposed to. Like if there was a Christmas subplot in this, I would assume that halfway through they're like, shit, the original writer left. What do we do? Like, I don't know. Turn it into a horror film.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, I guess.
Yeah, this started out as another dysfunctional family gets together for the holidays movie. But oops, we've already got almost Christmas this year. Let's, I don't know, make it a psycho thriller. The plot of this movie is that Naomi Watts is a child psychologist.
The plot of the movie is that Naomi Watts is Nicole Kidman.
Yeah. Is that Naomi Watts is like, well, I guess I should do something horror related since I'm not in Rings. So she's a child psychologist, and
not that really comes up ever.
Not really. I mean, none of this movie makes any goddamn sense. The movie starts out with a car accident with her husband and her stepkid, who's the dude from Stranger Things. They hit a semi-truck, which crashes them into the opening title card. And then, okay, this is just gonna get into spoilers from here on out. Like, it's 6 months later, and he has brain damage. Like, he's a vegetable. He's in a wheelchair. He has to be fed, bathed. He doesn't say anything or do anything, and
just kind of staring off into the middle distance, kind of up here somewhere.
Instantly, there's something wrong with this because it just simply looks, the way that he is dressed, the way he looks, the way his hair still is, it doesn't look like a guy who was just in a huge semi-truck accident. It looks like they shot this scene the same day as they did the previous scene, and he just went and sat in a wheelchair.
Yeah, because, I mean, it's not even anything like, and, I mean, I don't know exactly how old that kid is. I mean, fuck, he could be 25 playing 18, I don't know. But, you know, clean shave, and yeah, like haircut exactly the same. Like, like it doesn't have like a 6 months later, like he looks kind of scraggly, or you know, she like gave him a like completely like just buzzed it down like short haircut.
He's got
to
like
take
scarring down. He doesn't have like scarring down his head. The only scar he has is just kind of
just
on
like
his
on
shoulder.
his shoulder, and that's it.
Yeah,
Which is pretty good for going head first into a semi.
And that was a dream sequence too, when it showed the scar on his shoulder. That was the bathtub scene, right? Where
yeah, that was a dream sequence for that one, but there was that first scene where she like she opens up his shirt to like put those little like muscle like, you know, electrodes on there to kind of keep his muscles from atrophying.
Gotcha.
You could kind of see like a little red mark up here, so I assume that it was like that scar was, you know,
right. It's hard to tell because half of the first hour of this movie's either fake out dream sequences or Naomi Watts just going around her house that's just in the middle of the woods, like just going around her house seeking out noises, like honestly, like I'm watching a remake of I Spit on Your Grave.
It was just it was odd too, because some of the noises, like at one point, okay, and I get, like, after, like, the reveal, you could kind of chalk some of this up to other things, but there's, like, that first time she's, like, hearing noises, she's in the bathtub, upstairs, door closed, having a soak, and she hears, like, some scrapey noises.
Yeah.
So she's like, what the hell was that? I'm like, oh, so there's something in the house. She kind of goes downstairs, and she's, like, looking around, trying to hear the noises with her eyes. It's like scrapey noises. It's like, oh, it's outside. Grabs a flashlight, walks outside, around her house, across the lane that she lives on, to her like garage office, then around that building, and then she finally finds the source of the scratchy noises. A raccoon knocking over like some firewood.
A raccoon and a jump scare noise.
Well, it's true. A raccoon that jumped on a piano on its way down. But it was so fucking far away, and she lives in this giant house out in the middle of the fucking woods in Maine that I'm sorry, like, when you live out in the middle of nowhere, when you hear noises, I wouldn't have immediately thought, I'm going to go investigate. There might be an intruder. I would have thought, oh, it's probably like a fucking raccoon.
Yeah, it's like in like when the bow breaks when Morris Chestnut went out into the storm to fix the gutters.
It's like, no one does that. He would have looked at me like, that's annoying, and then just rolled back over and went back to fucking bed.
Part of the mystery in this movie is the kid from Room is like one of her patients, and he ends up going missing because he shows up at her house at one point and then he disappears. So
yeah, they very poorly inform you eventually that the kid was like in a foster home.
Yeah,
and he's been through like bounced around the system a little bit because no one can take care of him because he's pretty much deaf. And like the current lady who's fostering him is just like, look, I'm sending him the fuck on because I cannot do this shit. And then yeah, like all that set up later, I just thought like the kid just ran away from his mom and his mom's like, I don't want him back.
I couldn't tell. I mean, before he disappears, he's only in it a couple of times, and they make such a... Okay, the kid goes missing. Everyone is looking for him, and by everyone, I mean one cop. Like, one cop shows up.
That is
like,
100% of that town's police force.
This missing kid that's making national news all over the TV. And there was never a part of me during this whole thing where I didn't think that kid was still in the house.
Oh yeah,
like,
no. As soon as like she like looked and like the door was wide open, I'm like, he's in the house.
He's still in the house. Like,
he
why
never
is
left.
Like, why are you even trying to fool me with this shit? Like he's evil or he's a ghost or something. Like, the kid is still in the fucking house. That's what was reminding me of the boy. And then when it gets to the reveal, which fuck, doesn't make sense, doesn't even cover half of the reveal for this movie.
Oh, not even fucking close.
It turns out, dude from, what's his name from, because he's a good actor, dude from Stranger Things.
And I know I probably know it, but I can't fucking think of it.
Same here. Fuck. But it turns out, he's not really a vegetable. He's not really wheelchair bound. He can get up and go as he pleases, and he's the one who's been kind of drugging Naomi Watts and making her go crazy.
Like,
and
that's why she's been like having the weird dream sequences and keeps thinking that like she keeps seeing like this ghostly kid in her house. It's like, no, she keeps actually seeing this kid in her house, but he's just like all like the painkillers and everything that she's supposed to be giving him. He's apparently just been slipping to her like in her food or like down her throat while she's sleeping, I guess. I don't fucking know when it never establishes when he's actually doing this.
I assumed it was probably when she was sleeping, like maybe he puts it in her water or some shit. But it doesn't, like what we were saying earlier, right? He just looks like some guy who just, in the same scene, they shot the scene in the car, he just got up and sat in a wheelchair and he has the same haircut. It's like, well, okay, he wasn't really that messed up because of the accident all along, but with that being said, how did he get away with this for 6 goddamn months? That people think this kid has brain damage and he's a vegetable and wheelchair bound?
Yeah, because
really?
Because he even like lays it out to her like after the reveal. She's like, fucking how? She's like when I woke up in the hospital like a week after the accident, like everybody, you know, assumed like I couldn't move or I couldn't talk, so I just didn't. And
what the fuck?
And everybody was doing everything for me, so I just went with it and just kept not doing anything. And
that's how that works.
It's like, but they did tests, like, yeah, and they're like, oh, the brain's weird. That's why, like, all the tests were showing that I should be functionally okay. All of my reflexes were fine, but I just laid there, like...
Idiots. All idiots.
So, not even once did he ever, like, cough, or if he has an itch, like, move to, like, a fucking fly land on his goddamn open-ass eyeball. Like, it's like...
Or at least a doctor to say, yeah, that kid's faking it.
We hooked him up to like an EKG. We ran his fucking brainwaves, man. Like, he's fine. Like, you tap on his leg, he's responding in his head. Like,
man,
like at no point did they even try it's like, well, I don't know, like, poke him with like a needle, see if he flinches, see if he makes a fucking noise.
Or that spinny thing they use to determine whether like people are telling the truth in the hospital about coming in saying they can't see. They have that little windy thing that'll instinctively
it's like
make
you have to like you react like you just cannot not do that.
But everyone in this movie though is a fucking idiot. Like at the end, it's really the last half hour of it is Stranger Things has dude from Room and Naomi Watts held hostage in the house, so it's just kind of like him going crazy and them trying to escape from him, and it's so fucking stupid. He nails all the windows and the doors shut, and instead of just, I don't know, throwing something through the goddamn window, her idea is to knock out the sunroof and get a ladder and climb out that way.
Well, pretend to climb out that way. Well, so that she can get close to him.
Well, no, she got the kid out through the sunroof, and then she was standing there on the ladder, and he came up behind her, and then she, like, whopped him on the head.
Well, that was because, like, Oliver Platt was saying, like, don't let him see the kid, like...
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's like, that was so, like no, I got rid of him, he's not in the house anymore.
Well, at the same time, though, just knock one of the other fucking windows out, instead of this fucking sunroof.
My thing was, when he was upstairs and you could hear him nailing things shut, like... grab the fucking coffee table and throw it through one of your floor-to-ceiling picture windows.
Yeah, or just there are so many times in this where she could have just ran away. Like, yeah, it's really cold out, but they're not... There is stuff that's kind of around them. There's at least 2 cars.
Yeah.
It's not quite the Overlook Hotel. It's not in the fucking mountains or anything. There's at least a couple of cars out there.
Yeah, like they do make sure like the opening like establishing shot shows us that this place is in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so they just go with that, but it's like, yeah, like she could have figured something out. Like hell, she could have snuck around to her own garage and took her own car and left.
The only reason this climax lasts as long as it does is because it's another one of those movies where dude gets knocked out like 3 times in this, and not once does she keep bashing his fucking head in. Just thwop upside the head, he falls over, he's unconscious for like 30 seconds, and then he comes back and runs after him some more.
Well, or it doesn't think to like tie him up, tie him to something. You do fucking anything.
Bash the motherfucker's brains in. Oh, that's kind of how he gets it at the end. But again, she just still hit him once. She just happened to hit him just right.
Yeah. Well, and it was one of those movies where that other kid, I mean, he's been hiding in the house for at least a week at this point. He's pretty good at hiding in that fucking house. But, like, the main reason why she kept not leaving is because she didn't want to leave him there. But... he could have fucking hid anywhere in that, like, fucking Stranger Things would have never found him in the house.
Yeah. Never found him in the house. And honestly, that whole thing with the kid from Room could have been cut out of this movie. It still wouldn't have made much sense, but... okay, there's 2 reasons why dude goes crazy, just... reveals himself at the end. One of which is because Naomi Watts is about to send him away, send him to a home, which really that's all you needed for his motivation to go crazy, to go crazy towards the end. But no, he's also jealous of the kid from Room, who's only been in this movie twice, until he comes back at the end. And I was like, why is he jealous of this kid?
I think it was like his thought was really flawed because he has like this really weird relationship. Like Naomi Watts is his stepmom, but it's not like an attraction sort of thing. Like he's just like absolutely obsessed with like her being his mom.
I took it as heavily incestuous when I was watching it.
It got kind of weird, but he never really like goes anywhere with it, so it's hard to tell.
I especially thought it was incestuous, like, because at the end it seemed pretty sexual when he had her against the stove, but also the fact that they kept specifically saying she is his stepmom. So I figured that was their way to...
I almost feel like that was their out, so that it was
Exactly.
okay. Like, if it got weird, we've got an out, and it gives them a reason why it's not super creepy, just moderately creepy. When he has her, like, naked in a bathtub, like, just giving her, like, a sponge bath. Like, see, I'm taking care of you like you take care of me.
It's been a while since I've seen a PG-13 movie with nudity in it.
And if you're curious what Naomi Watts looks like butt naked throwing up into a toilet, this is your movie.
Hot stuff.
But yeah, it's he has like this devotion, weird relationship with his mom,
And I never knew why, because this isn't really he's only...
when we come into the movie is when he is leaving to go to like she was sending him to like a reform school or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so we never even see them interact until he's in a fucking wheelchair. So we don't even know what their relationship was, but apparently it was like they established later like that he was closer to her than he actually was to like his actual dad. Who
you never really got that sense from the opening of it, because it's only 30 seconds in that he gets in the car accident. Like, this movie just feels like he's just crazy for the sake of being crazy. Like, that's it. He's crazy not for really any reason that makes sense or is even established. He's just crazy because it's a thriller.
But yeah, like he was saying things like, it's like, oh, he wanted his dad dead, and, you know, if it meant like he died in the car accident too, cool. But now it's even better because he's dead, so it's just him and her. But then this kid comes in and she starts like making up a room for that kid if he should actually come back, because she doesn't know what to do with him, and he kind of takes that as like, like no, you can have no one else in your life but me. And then
does he not know what she does for a living?
Fucking apparently not.
This doesn't make none of this makes sense.
Well, and then like she actually has like a date, and then it's like you're trying to replace me, you're trying to get a new family.
That poor guy. That poor dude, man.
I feel bad for him.
I did, same here. he just wanted to go on a date with a nice child psychologist lady. No, murdered. You know, I mean, I'll say this: the dude, the bad guy, Stranger Things. He was having a lot of fun in this movie.
Oh yeah. And it kind of works out because I mean he does have like sort of one of those like he's got a good face for like playing creepy.
He does.
But it's the sort of thing like on Stranger Things, like, fuck me, I'm blanking on his name on the show. It's like a J name, I think. Not Steve Harrington, the other one.
The photographer kid.
It's such a quiet role that he has on that one, that it's kind of nice here to see him, like, you know, show a different range of emotion. And it was kind of nice that it like did a reveal that like turns out he's you know, like completely mobile and normal. Because it was super weird when like the first 2/3 of this movie,
with the food down his mouth.
it's just him just fucking Stephen Hawking. It's like okay, like, why is he still in this movie?
Yeah,
Because I kept expecting it to go in a different direction than what it did. Like, I kept expecting either like the kid in the wall starts like fucking with them, and maybe that's part of it, or, you know, like once like that guy starts like getting like the guy that like goes on a date with her. It's Doug.
Doug.
Because he's like very like forward and kind of aggressive when he's first asking her out on a date.
Mm-hmm.
And then whenever like I don't know, like he's just like kind of like a bigger sort of like imposing looking guy.
Yeah.
And then when like she actually invites him over and like he seems kind of bummed when he's like, I guess I should leave.
Uh-huh.
And then it shows up randomly like the next day. It's like in her house, like I tried knocking, but no one answered, so I let myself in and just came in around in your house.
Which is what you do.
Well, exactly. Like I kept thinking it was going to end up being a thing like maybe he would like be holding her hostage and it would like eventually take like the kid of like finding the will to get out of the wheelchair to stop him or something. But then no. Took like a random turn into fucking nowhere.
Yeah, I didn't think that the...
But again, from not seeing the trailer, like I don't know if maybe some of that more of that was like set up to kind of give you an idea of where it was eventually heading.
I don't know if it, I can't remember if it did or not in the trailer review I saw of it, but I figured the dude wasn't really like wheelchair bound. I don't know. Maybe it's just simply because like it was a recognizable actor playing the part, and an actor who certainly has the features to play a psycho in a movie.
Yeah.
Like honestly, like this, the way he looks and like his features and everything, it is kind of like seeing when like DiCaprio would play a crazy guy in something, or the kid from Chronicle, or Max Thoreau from in House at the End of the Street, and he was having a lot of fun in this, but like watching it, I was like, I wish he was doing something like this in a much better movie. Like really, he should be playing like the Riddler or something.
Yeah. But yeah, and that is a good point. Like he's got like a very like Dane DeHaan thing going on.
He does. He absolutely does.
But yeah, and it's the sort of thing like with this story they have, like I feel like if this had gone like maybe another like pass through by somebody else who would like oh, I got like one more guy who does like thrillers and horror movies, let me throw this past him and see what he says. Like I honestly feel like either like one more pass through for notes, or I don't know, like 3 fewer passes.
Yeah.
That this would have potentially been an okay story, that they could have worked something a little better out of it, because there are a lot of glimpses of where things could have gone better, but they never use any of it. They never go anywhere with any of it. Like even like the title feels like maybe there was a much different movie where they started and this is where it ended. So even the title being Shut In
that really,
like, what does that apply to?
I have no idea, because she doesn't
she is not a shut-in.
No, she's not.
She leaves the place. Like, yeah, granted, she stays by him, but like she still has a full-time job. She has people over. It's not like she's just some fucking weird recluse.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, maybe maybe it's in reference to like him in the chair, but we find out that's bullshit. Maybe it's a reference to the fact that he's like basically holding her hostage, but we don't realize until like the 15th time she tries getting out of the house, there's like, oh, he nailed the door shut. It's like, so that doesn't even really count. Like at no point did that title really feel like it was fitting for the movie we got. Like I said, like, maybe there was, you know, not even like the weather. Like I figured like maybe it was going to be like kind of like there's again like how they were leaning heavily on The Shining with like a fucking heavy snowstorm coming through. But even then, it wasn't like they were like cut off from the fucking world. Like
no, she can still get perfect Skype calls.
Yeah, she went outside and there was. It's like, yeah, I get that there was bad weather. Like wherever the hell Oliver Platt drove in from. It was raining like hell, but not snowing wherever he started driving from. And where she was at, there was, I don't know, maybe like 8 to 10 inches of snow on the ground, which for the middle of winter in Maine, I think isn't honestly bad.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Like, that's the sort of shit like you see, like, you know, shit like, oh yeah, like 2 feet of snow fell on like, LaGuardia, and they were still landing planes in it. Like,
Yeah.
it's like I can't assume that like that was like some crazy amount of snow for that fucking high up.
It honestly feels like this was just a cynical attempt to find a script that could maybe pass as like an American version of like Goodnight Mommy. Not that they're exactly alike, but you can see like you could see where someone would be like, I want to find something that's maybe a little bit like that movie. A mother getting held hostage by like a crazy kid.
Well, and a thing though that on the subject of looking for something like that makes this one actually kind of distracting for a lot of it is the fact that Naomi Watts was in the remake of Funny Games.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So it honestly has several different shades of that feeling too.
I can see that.
So it kind of like even to that like it feels like it's like certain scenes are like I've definitely seen this before.
Yeah, all over the place. From that to The Shining to Goodnight Mommy to House at the End of the Street. There's no reason to see this. There's no reason, not even on video, not even on Netflix. It wasn't a fun sit, even as a bad movie. I seriously sat there through a majority of this movie, honestly just really bored out of my mind.
Oh yeah, no, and it made perfect sense to me why there was a man asleep behind us.
That was before that guy was asleep even before the movie started, and it made perfect sense why he chose this movie, because he figured the movie itself might not wake him up. I haven't seen that since like all the people I kept seeing napping in theaters in fucking Detroit.
Is this like some thing people do? Like
that happened at fucking one of the movies I saw on fucking 8 Mile. I think it was Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. There was just like one guy in the back theater where it was obvious he just came in to just come in from outside and take a nap for 90 minutes.
He probably does that all day, like leaves the theater, goes uses the bathroom for like 20 minutes. People start filling back in for the next show and just goes back in. Yeah,
just heads back in. I'm gonna sleep for another 90 minutes. No one else has seen this piece of shit movie. Fuck.
But yeah, the only thing I can possibly think like redeeming thing, not even redeeming, but like if just out of curiosity, like if you're like oh man, like that guy was really good on Stranger Things, I'd like to see a few more things that he's done. Even then, like I don't know, don't rent this, just like download it. Like I'm definitely promoting that for this. Is like just get it for free somehow, and then just skip to the end.
Skip to, I would say it's probably maybe not even an hour, maybe like 50 minutes into the movie, because it really seemed like that climax went on for fucking ever.
Yeah, it's the first 2 acts are about like 20 minutes each, and then the rest of the movie is the climax.
Yeah, and then just Nutcake going through the house for what really seemed like half of this movie. I mean, I don't think it was that much, but it went on for a while.
But yeah. So yeah, that's the only thing I can think is like, yeah, just if you're curious for that, just skip ahead halfway through the movie and then start there.
Mine's like,
but even then, like surely to God, like that kid is, I'm assuming he's done something else, and I mean, fuck, they're making like season 2 of Stranger Things now. Like it won't be long before you get to see him in something.
He'll be in better movies than this. He's a good actor. He's even fine in this. Like really, the acting is perfectly serviceable for this film.
It's just
a piece of shit.
Yeah,
the movie's just a gigantic piece of fucking shit. Like I couldn't even like Yeah, if you want to see him play kind of crazy for a little bit, then maybe watch just 5 minutes of this, and you'll get or of one of those scenes, and you'll see what you need to see. But I mean, beyond that, like this is just skip it entirely. There's no reason to watch this movie.
There's nothing. Yeah, there's nothing here.
Any other final thoughts on it? I think that was mine.
Yeah, I really don't have anything else.
This was bad. This was really fucking bad. All right. I think next week is like, it's all the Thanksgiving stuff. I think it's like Allied and Bad Santa 2, and I think Mona might come out around then. But I don't know. There's movies next week. See it.